Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of the leaders and legislative assembly for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of importance trusts in this republic. Let your blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and a faithful a manner, as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and those of whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Okay. Good afternoon, members. Okay, welcome to our afternoon session. Clerk, proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
Proceed.
Order number 4, petitions.
Proceed.
Order number 5, papers.
Proceed.
Order number 6, notices of motions.
Proceed.
Order number 7, statements.
Proceed.
Order number 8, the Machakos County Climate Change Amendment Bill of 2021, Kenya Gazette Supplement number 14, Machakos County Bills number 6.
Members, under this order, we have one business by Honorable Kisini. Honorable Kisini.
Mr. Speaker, the Machakos County Climate Change Amendment Bill 2021, that is in Kenya Gazette Supplement number 14, Machakos Bill number 6. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 121-1, I wish to move the motion that the Machakos County Climate Change Amendment Bill 2021, in brackets Machakos County Bill number 6, be now read a second time. I call Honorable Ndeti to second.
I stand to second the bill.
Thank you, Honorable Ndeti. Honorable Kisini, you can give highlights.
Thank you, honorable members.
And
I just want...
Don't go through the whole report.
Yes.
Do the summary, composition, etc.
Thank you, honorable members. I just want to introduce you to the bill, to the highlights of the bill. Honorable Speaker, Article 185(1) and 2 of the Constitution provides that legislative authority of our county is vested in and exercised by the county assembly. A county assembly may make laws that are necessary for an assignment that are necessary for or incidental to the effective performance of the functions and exercise of the powers of the county government under the fourth schedule. Further, Section 21(1) of the County Governments Act 2012 stipulates that a county assembly shall exercise its legislative power through bills passed by the county assembly and assented to by the governor. The county assembly, through its legislative function, is responsible for reviewing and passing legislations designed to steer effective natural resources management and reform in its functions. It has a number of ways to help shape the extractive industries sector by introducing laws that help in monitoring up trade, encourage or create incentives for private sector development, in addition to establishing rules and regulations to oversee the operations of private corporations. The basic function of a legislative body is to make, amend, or appeal the law. The process of lawmaking or legislative process in relation to parliament or county assembly may be defined as the process by which a legislative proposal brought before it is translated into law of the land. All such legislative proposals are tabled in the form of bills. The core legislative oversight and the representational functions of parliaments provide an essential contribution to the quality of a country's overall governance by adding value to government policies. Composition of membership, committee membership. Honorable Speaker, the following of the aforementioned committee is as follows. Honorable Robert Kesini, the chairperson. Honorable Christine Koki, vice chairperson. Honorable Paul Museko, Honorable Mark Muendo, Honorable Alex Kamito, Honorable Brian Kesila, Honorable Cosmas Kieti, Muia, Honorable George Kingori, Honorable Helen Detty, Honorable Jacqueline Ziba, Honorable Nyawira, Honorable Joseph Musau, Honorable Michael Motiso, all members of the committee. Objectives and the purpose of the Machakos County Climate Change Act 2019. The Principal Act. Honorable Speaker, Clause 3.1 of the Principal Act states that the objects and purpose of this bill is to put in place mechanisms for the enhancement of climate resilience through development management, implementation, regulation, and monitoring of adaptation and the mitigation measures and actions. Further, Clause 3.2 states that without prejudice to subsection 1 of Clause 3, the bill shall be applied by the county government in all sectors of the economy. 2A, maintain climate change responses into development planning, decision-making, and implementation. B, implement coordinated and integral response to climate change and its impacts by all actors and stakeholders. C, facilitate effective management of climate change impacts by enhancing adaptive capacity, strengthening resilience, and reducing vulnerability to climate change. D, promote, support, and facilitate community-based and community-initiated adaptation and mitigation activities. F, enforce duties and provides incentives for the private sector to contribute to achievements of low carbon climate resilient development. F, facilitate public participation in climate change response through capacity development. awareness creation, consultation, representation, and access to information. G, establish frameworks and mechanisms for mobilization and transparent and accountable management of financial and other resources for climate change response. H, establish and implement mechanisms to promote and facilitate climate change research and development, innovations, technology development, training, and capacity building. I, integrate climate change into the exercise of power and functions of all levels of the county government, including in decentralized units, and enhance cooperative climate change governance between the county, neighboring counties, and the national government. And J, contribute to national efforts to address the adverse impacts of climate change. Committee recommendations. The proposed amendments are as stated below. 1, Section 2 on interpretation inserts as follows. Greenhouse gas includes but is not limited to carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluoride, and indirect greenhouse gases. Mainstreaming means the integration of climate change actions into decision-making and implementation of functions. Implementation of functions by the sector ministries, state corporations, and county governments. 2, Section 6 on functions of steering committees. Section 6 of the Principals Act is amended. A, in the opening line by deleting the words coordinate and immediately after the word shall. B, at the beginning of paragraph B by deleting words coordinate and substituting therefore the word supervise. C, in paragraph H by inserting the word in immediately after the word stakeholders. D, at the beginning of paragraph K by deleting word coordinate and substituting therefore the word supervise. E, by deleting paragraph I in its entirety. 3, Section 7 of the amendment bill on composition of the steering committee amend by deleting Section 7 and substituting therefore the following new section. 7.1. The steering committee shall comprise 9 members who shall be appointed by the governor. 2. The members of the steering committee shall be A, the deputy governor as chairperson, B, executive committee member in charge of climate change as secretary, C, executive committee member in charge of the county treasury, D, executive committee member in charge of agriculture, E, executive committee member in charge of water, F, a representative of the private sector nominated by the body representing the largest number of institutions in the private sector operating in Machakos County. G, a representative of the public benefit organization nominated by the most representative registered association of civil societies working on climate change, Machakos County. H, a representative of the youth nominated by registered association of youth. I, a PWD who is a woman who is registered with the National Council for persons living with disabilities. 3. A person shall qualify for appointment under Section 2F, G, H, and I only if that person A has demonstrable experience, expertise, and interests in issues of climate change, natural resource management, or environmental conservation. B, as actively and publicly engaged in matters stated in paragraph A within the county for 5 years preceding the nominations. C, is a resident of the county. D, is a citizen of Kenya. E, must be a holder of a bachelor's degree. And F, meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. 4. The names of the persons nominated for appointment under subsection 2, F, G, H, and I shall be submitted to Count Assembly for approval. 5. The Executive Committee member shall cause to be published in the Gazette the names of the members of the Steering Committee appointed under this section. Justification. The amendment bill is inappropriately constituted by Justification. The amendment bill is inappropriately constituted by assigning the task of policy directions to chief officers. Steering committee is synonymous to a board. It breaches the principles of efficiency and cost effectiveness, key principles and values of governance under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is well-established practice, constitutionally guided. Those organs, even boards of corporations and constitutional commissions, have not more than 9 members. Equally critical, the principal act in the same section purports to assign responsibilities to officials of the national government. This is illegal and unconstitutional within the framework provided. The amendment bill assigns responsibility for recruitment of non-public service members of the steering committee to the board. This is not an appropriate function of the board. The members are nominated by specified interest groups. 4. Amendments to section 9 to 15 of the amendment bill on the Count Planning Committee. All the amendments proposed in the amendment bill purporting to remove the planning committee were rejected by the committee. The Count Climate Change Planning Committee is a vital mechanism for account-wide climate change planning. Delete any other provision of the amendment bill that proposes deletion of the Count Planning Committee. Instead, reinstate the Count Planning Committee appropriately. Introduce or insert the composition of planning committee as follows, and also reinstate the words planning committee in another sections proposed for deletion. The current planning committee shall comprise of the following members. 1, the executive committee member who shall be the chairperson, the chief officer who shall be the secretary, the chief officer responsible for the county treasury, the chief officer responsible for matters relating to agriculture, the chief officer responsible for matters relating to water. 6, 1 man and 1 woman from public benefit organizations working on climate change matters. 7, one representative from PLWDs who is registered with the National Council of Persons Living with Disabilities. 8, the director in charge of climate change. 9, fund administrator who shall be ex officio. Section 19 of the Principal Act and Section 19 of the Principal Act and appropriate section of the amendment bill is amended by deleting the words climate change unit and substituting therefore the words climate change directorate. 5. Section 23, 24 of Principal Act and Section 17 of the amendment bill on Ward Planning Committee. Section 24 of the Principal Act is amended by deleting it in its entirety and substituting therefore the following. 24.1. A ward planning committee shall comprise a person ordinarily resident in the ward and order of a minimum qualification of a diploma in an environment-related field who shall be the chairperson. B. An officer of the Directorate nominated by the Directorate who shall be the secretary. C. A representative of the youth who ordinarily resides in the ward nominated by the registered community-based organizations working on environment and development in the ward. D. A representative of the woman who ordinarily resides in the ward. E. A representative of persons living with disability who ordinarily resides in the ward who is registered with the National Council for Persons Living with Disabilities. F. A representative of the business community who ordinarily resides in the ward. G. A representative of faith-based organizations being persons who ordinarily reside in the ward. H. A representative of public benefit organization who resides within the ward. 2. Nominations under subsection 1C to G shall be done through a meeting at ward level, convened through the relevant networks for that specific purpose, and communicated to the Directorate in writing with certified copy of the relevant resolutions. 3. The Executive Committee member shall cause be gazetted, the Executive Committee member shall cause to be gazetted the members of the Steering, Planning Committee, and the Ward Planning Committees. 6. Establishment of Climate Change Directorate. Amend Section 30/1, amend Section 131 of the Principal Act and further appropriate amendments in the amendment bill by inserting the follows. Amend by deleting and substituting therefore the following. 31. There is established the County Climate Change Directorate as a directorate within the county department responsible for the climate change affairs. 2. The Directorate shall be headed by the County Director of Climate Change, who shall be recruited competitively and appointed by the County Public Service Board. Three, the director appointed under Section 2 shall be responsible for the performance of specific duties and functions of the Directorate as set out in this Act. 4, a person shall be qualified for appointments as a Director of Climate Change if the person, 1, is a citizen of Kenya, B, has a degree, knowledge, and at least 5 years' experience in any of the following fields. 1, environment studies. 2, environmental engineering. 3, meteorology. 4, climatology. 5, environmental law. 6, community development. And 7, public administration. And 8, economics. C, meets the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution. 5, the County Director of Climate Change shall report to the County Chief Officer responsible for climate change. 6, the Directorate shall have such other staff as may be appointed by the County Public Service Board for the efficient execution of its functions. 7, the Directorate shall be responsible for operational coordination and implementation of all climate change response measures and actions in the county. 8, without prejudice, the generality of the foregoing subsection, the Directorate shall coordinate the implementation of the County Climate Change Action Plan, County Climate Change Framework, and other climate change-related policies, plans, programs, and projects. B, coordinate and provide technical support to relevant county government departments to integrate and mainstream climate change response measures and actions into all county government development policies, plans, programs, and projects. C, provide capacity building and technical support to communities and other stakeholders in the county to formulate and implement low carbon development strategies and actions to build resilience and enhance adaptive capacity to climate change. D, coordinate climate change-related research activities, knowledge dissemination, and public awareness in the county. E, coordinate public participation and facilitate access to information pertaining to climate change with regard to all development plans, programs, and projects in the county. F, coordinate measurement, reporting, and verification of all climate change policies, plans, programs, and projects in the county. G, mobilize resources for the County Climate Change Fund established by this Act. And H, perform any other climate change-related functions within their mandate under this Act. Justification. Climate change unit indicated in the amendment bill is suboptimal approach to establishing mechanisms for coordination and management of climate change at county level. The units were administratively set up as ad hoc measures pursuant to Climate Change Act of 2016. Requirements for gazettement of CECMs responsible for climate change, the appropriate approach is set up. The appropriate approach is to set up a County Climate Change Directorate. 7. Section 45 of the Principal Acts and Section 28 of the Amendments Bill on the Machakos County Climate Change Fund. Section 45 of the Principal Act is amended by deleting in its entirety and substituting therefore the following. 45.1. There is established a fund to be called the Machakos County Climate Change Fund, which shall be a financing mechanism for priority climate change actions and interventions approved by Steering Committee. 2. The fund shall be vested in the county treasurer. 3. Treasury. 3. The fund shall be administered by a fund administrator competitively recruited by the County Public Service Board and designated as such by the Executive Committee member for finance in accordance with Section 116(2) of the Public Finance Act 2012. 4. The fund administrator in managing the fund shall A, prepare accounts for the fund for each financial year. B, not later than 3 months after the end of each financial year, submit financial statements relating to those accounts to the Auditor General and the County Assembly. D, ensure that the accounts for the fund and the annual financial statements relating to those accounts comply with the accounting standards prescribed and published by the Accounting Standard Board from time to time. E, provide mechanism for daily operations of the fund. F, process financing applications from eligible applicants for approval by the steering committee. G, ensure quality assurance in execution of the mandate of the fund. H, undertake resource mobilization for various sources. I, provide technical assistance to the Ward Planning Committee. J, shall ensure timely disbursements of funds as approved by the Planning Committee for projects. 5, the fund administrator shall have the following qualifications. A minimum of a bachelor's degree in finance, economics, or business administration. B, a minimum of 5 years experience in managing finance. C, membership of a recognized professional body concerned with finance. Membership of a recognized professional body concerned with finance. Number 6, the signatories of the fund shall be the fund administrator, who shall be the mandatory signatory, the chief officer in charge of the climate change, and director in charge of climate change. Either two shall sign checks, with the fund administrator being a mandatory signatory. Number 7, all projects shall originate from the wards. The amount shall be distributed as follows. Administrative and allowances, 5%, which shall include awareness creation, training, and capacity building. The remaining 95% of the funds shall be utilized for the projects proposed by the Ward Planning Committee and approved by the Planning Committee as follows. 70% equally among all wards, and that percent equitably. Number 7, the executive committee member responsible for finance shall make regulations to the management, operation, and winding up of the fund. Number 8, memorandum of objects. Delete all provisions of the amendment bill that relate to planning committee and reinstate with amendments. 9, conclusion. Honorable Speaker, human activity is influencing and the global climate is in a negative way. Climate change exacerbates the threat of human caused by conflicts resulting from a scarcity of resources like food and water that are less reliable as growing seasons change and seasons become less predictable. Many of these impacts are happening disproportionately in low income, indigenous, or marginalized communities. Around the globe, many of the poorest nations are being impacted first and most severely by climate change. Even though they have contributed far less to the increase in carbon emissions that has caused the warming in the first place, climate change is therefore a critical area of concern which all nations should rise and embrace measures to mitigate or adapt to its effects. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore my duty on behalf of the Committee on Environment to table the report on Machakos Climate Change Amendment Bill 2021 to this Honorable House for discussion and adoption. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Compiled by Luke Maingi and Jundi Sioki, Clerk and Citizens. Honorable Robert Kisini, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I now propose the question that the Machakos County Climate Change Amendment Bill 2021 be now read a second time. Members, you can debate.
Honorable Mita.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to give my input on this important bill, which has again been brought to the Assembly for approval. Honorable Speaker, I first want to congratulate the chairman and his committee for again going back and improving on areas which we had highlighted recently, so that, Honorable Speaker, from onset, we get things right. Honorable Speaker, I know that there was an arrangement between the committee and honorable members last week to go through the bill, and I happen to have missed that opportunity, Honorable Speaker, so I hope I'm not taking this House back. But, Honorable Speaker, on the side of the scope, on areas where this bill is supposed to work, I had gone through legal underpinnings, Honorable Speaker, and I think the page 4, second paragraph, there is somewhere where they talk about goal number 13 of the SDG is about taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Goal number 14 emphasize the need to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development, while goal number 15 puts emphasis on the need to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Honorable Speaker, I'm more on goal number 15, which now tackles the need to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. Honorable Speaker, I hope the committee had the opportunity now to take members through to understand to what extent the funds can work, Honorable Speaker. Because when it comes to climate change, the effects are different, Honorable Speaker. And I hope the bill is very clear to what extent, because we can have gullies as a result of floods which come as a result of climate change. We can have, like recently in my ward, we had forest fire because of climate change. I hope the bill is very clear, Honorable Speaker, to state to what extent, because I understand this being a fund, this money will be somewhere, and we need to be very sure in case something happens related to, we will be able now to get use of these funds and utilize them, Honorable Speaker. Because you might find some of the functions are still under the departments. Let it be very clear, so that if in my ward something happens, and now I approach this CC in charge of climate change, I'll be very sure that I'll not be referred to another department to tackle the challenge, Honorable Speaker. That has been a concern which maybe I missed because I didn't attend that training, and the chair might need to maybe update me on the same if they went through it. If they did not, we need also to, at a later date, because we cannot make law once, we'll keep on amending. We will have to now to relook at it and see how better that can be captured. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, which was also discussed last time, you remember, Honorable Chair, the issue of deputy governor came up. You see under Section 3, I mean Section 7 of the Amendment Bill on composition of the steering committee is still the chairperson, and we don't have any problem. Personally, I don't have any problem with that. But I had issue when it was stated that he must be part of the signatory. Honorable Speaker, a case which is live with us, we know very well as honorable members there is an extent we can now involve ourselves into this thing. And we are in a unique case whereby, like, our deputy governor is an aspirant in the forthcoming general elections. He's contesting to become a governor, Honorable Speaker. And that being a unique case, Honorable Speaker, it was very important, Honorable Speaker, we make it very clear that we don't find ourselves at crossroads.
Do you need to be informed, Honorable Mr.?
I'm okay, Honorable Speaker, not unless it's on something else, but on information, I don't need at the moment.
Honorable Kisila does not, Honorable Mr. does not need.
No, I would like to give him that information as a member of the committee. And I would like you to refer to him to page number 17. 6. The signatories of the fund shall be fund administrator, who shall be the mandatory signatory, the chief officer in charge of climate change, and director in charge of climate change. The deputy governor is not a signatory.
Honorable Speaker, I wish Honorable Kisila would be very keen in my contributions. I had not reached that point. I was still going there, Honorable Chair. So he's jumping my part of contribution. I'm thanking the committee for seeing it better, Honorable Speaker, not to have our the deputy governor being part of the signatory. So I'm in total agreement, Honorable Kisila, with I was building my case, Honorable Kisila. So I want to thank the committee for seeing it good that we don't involve politicians into management of this bill, Honorable Speaker. So I thank them for what now Honorable Kisila has referred me to, or else what he wanted to inform me. They have found it good now to come up with funds manager, Honorable Chair, and I'm also pleased with the qualifications which they have set. Because sometimes, Honorable Speaker, these offices are being used to reward political friends. And yes, as much as we might be willing to support or else to reward our friends, we also need to look at the qualifications, Honorable Chair. So I'm happy, but on C, membership of a recognized professional body concerned with finance. Again, that also, my feeling is it ties to some extent. It might be a disadvantage to someone who is qualified. Honorable Chair, that is my feeling. So I want to thank the committee, and I hope the House will now approve this bill. It's very important. We need to access these funds, Honorable Chair, as soon as yesterday. We have so much problem on the ground as a result of climate change. Personally, from my ward, I call it a ward of gullies. If I can get some funds this financial year, I'll be able to do something towards managing effects of climate change. So, Honorable Speaker, I thank the committee. I thank the whole House for the work they have done. And I hope now we'll we'll pass the bill, and the executive will work immediately towards full implementation of the bill. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Ndeti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First and foremost, I wish to state that I'm a member of this committee, and I think the entire committee, led by our able chair, has been able to burn midnight oil to come up with this report. Because in the past, members, it was repeated even in this house by our majority that the last time we were approving a bill for the formation of the municipal councils, municipalities, we rushed and we ended up getting garbage in, garbage out. But I can assure you, members, that this is a bill that the entire committee has gone through, even together with a consultant from the World Bank. And lastly, we had a meeting with the entire House, of which most members did not show up, but I can attest to you that whatever we have written or come up with is above board, and it will ensure that the funding that will come from the World Bank will go a long way to help in mitigating our climate change within our county. I want to pay attention more so to the fund manager, where we spent almost 2 days discussing on the committee, the composition of the members who will be working with that fund manager, and by ensuring that the fund manager is going to be keen enough to ensure that there is no money that will be lost. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kingori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm also a member of the Environment Committee, and so I'm conservant properly with what we passed, because I've been almost in all sittings. Mr. Speaker, as I want to congratulate ourselves, but maybe there is something I want to take to your attention, is that as I agree, we agreed to stay with the steering committee and the planning committee, but we defined duties, and they are not captured here, Mr. Speaker. And I think that's where we go wrong when we rush on bills. Because, yes, they have spoken about what we said, yes, but the powers given to the standing committee, we also negotiated about them, and they are not captured here, Mr. Speaker. And on another point, Mr. Speaker, is on the planning committee. We also give them powers to how to work, yet it's not captured on power, so that when we are amending things, we don't have to go the wrong way, Mr. Speaker, because we can still, yes, we have a standing committee which is now have more powers than what we give in our views. So I think we need more time, Mr. Speaker, to look about it. So I just request you, use your wisdom, Mr. Speaker, to give the whole House again another time to relook that issue, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kingori, you belong to this committee, and you had all the time to consult and to do all this. So we cannot, again, hold it back as announced. Then again, we have committee of the whole House, which is coming. All those proposals, also proposals of Honorable Mita, we'll consider them in the committee of the whole House. And where we want to make amendments, members, please be present, and we make amendments at the level of committee house. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you for that, because maybe what I've said could not have been captured if I have not highlighted on it. I know now it will be captured during the next time of the whole house. And that's why we should also think of also educating the whole house the meaning of the bill and the purpose of that bill, because most of the members did not turn up. But it doesn't matter whether they turn up or not. But what is important now is, if you have made resolution, it should be written and put in these amendments, so that now we can have the final draft of the amendments. Because we have so many things which are good, like the way we have proposed them. But some which we removed are not captured here, Mr. Speaker. It's my honorable way to say, as the former proposer of the bill, the original act, I would like the people of Machakos to benefit out of this act, because what they need is what is intended for this bill to work for the people of Machakos. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kingori. Any honorable?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your eye catching my eye. Honorable Nicholas, representing the great people of Katangi Ward. First, I want to thank the committee for the good job they did, which is commendable. And the recommendations are actually nice, although there may be some teething problems, especially when you look on the committee composition. They have tried to capture the people living with disabilities. They have also tried to capture the youths. I only have one concern. Sometimes back we saw a list circulating on social media or in some platforms that I think the executive or somebody and already elected or nominated and already selected some people who are to sit in this committee. I wanted to know if those members, those who are selected earlier, are still valid, or there will be some fresh nominations following the new recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chair. And can you address that concerns? Will those be people valid, or that was hearsay? We will treat as hearsay.
Thank you. Maybe, I think maybe when responding back, I was to respond, but I just want to say we are taking those concerns, and maybe they are being noted by our clerks. Whichever will be very right. We said law is not made in once. It is a continuous process. So we have noted, I should say we have noted. We will discuss as a committee if we are given another opportunity. And maybe, I don't know if, Mr. Speaker, you have given me time, or members are still continuing to speak. Okay, thank you. Well, we have noted. Our clerks are noting, and I will respond to that at my final submissions. Thank you.
Honorable Kisila.
I think my chairman never got what Honorable Katangi was saying. When we do these amendments, and I'm making my contributions, these are new amendments. It means the new ward committees will be newly reconstituted, because you cannot, we had to go through these and actually understand the previous bill was not well thought about, or now the ward committees were being constituted. Mr. Speaker, my points are very clear. Only three points. One, as a committee, we had to look at how to define duties for each committee. And I would like to thank Honorable Kingori for being very tough on the details. Because until we get to the details, we'll still be passing bills which people will take advantage of them. And I like what he's saying, although that what he's proposing is in the real amendments, the roles of the steering committee, planning committee, and the ward committee. But realize, the most important committee here is the ward committee. And we will ensure that the ward committees, if we ensure the ward committees are well empowered and given the right people are nominated to those committees, then this climate change act will work for our people. So it is important, as honorable members, we ensure that selection of these members to the ward committees are good people with very good knowledge of environment and competent people. Realize we also removed the ward administrator from convening the composition of the ward committees, because this is a different function altogether. In fact, the directorate has to be the one to take charge, and we said a specific nominee from the director will be the one constituting the meetings, and when we will be electing these officials, proper communication should be done so that we get the right people. I'm also, just like Ngori, I'm a member of the committee, and I had a dissenting view, which was not captured. But dissenting view was the chairman of the ward planning committee should have a degree. And that dissenting voice in the chairman has not been captured. I still believe strongly that chairman of the ward planning committee should be a man of dignity, a reputable person with a degree, and who will ensure these funds are not embezzled.
Point of information, Honorable Ksila.
Yes, I would like to be informed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm Constance Mbulanzioki. I want to inform the member I was in that meeting and he was also there, and we discussed at length the issue of degrees, and we came into consensus. We do not need that degree at that moment, but could have a person who is strongly there and he knows what to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Be informed, Honorable Ksila.
Very well, and I like the points Mheshimiwa has brought. What we are looking for here are men and women who cannot be bullied around to embezzle funds for the ward. It can be, I like what she's saying, someone who has a high integrity, not just if people are just being picked to run these organizations. My last point, Mr. Speaker, is on the fund manager. We spent a lot of time on the fund manager, and I think we did a very, very good justice. And I would like to commend Honorable Ngori and the committee and the chairman and the entire committee for ensuring that we get the right fund manager. The success of this fund is the fund manager, together with the Directorate. And we remove powers from the steering committee, and we give a lot of powers to the fund manager. So let us ensure that we entrench the fund manager together with the Directorate. And we agreed, I don't know if it is captured here, that the fund manager should be, did we agree that it should come through the assembly? Yes. Is that captured here? No. It is not captured. We actually said that. Yeah, yes.
Point of information, Honorable Ndeti.
Sorry, you can see it. I think I have also noticed that there are a few details that the clerks did not pick, so they need to go through, because on the fund manager, even what Mheshimiwa has raised, we discussed, but maybe capturing. But maybe they have the notes. It's a matter of capturing.
True, Mheshimiwa. And then again, Honorable Ksila, we will have a committee of the whole house. So let us bring all those amendments to the committee of the whole house.
A point of information, Mr. Speaker. I think, through your wisdom, Mr. Speaker, it's right to give this committee more time and members to understand what is there instead of rushing the bill because we need money, yes, but we also need good bills. Because what we need now, maybe, we need that final draft, what Honorable Kisila have said, so that we can discuss on point of knowledge, not on point of hearsay and thinking, yet we are lawmakers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, thank you. Members, we can approve the report with all the amendments you are saying. We approve it with amendments.
Mr. Speaker, you have to guide us in this one because some critical aspects like those ones, if they are missing, in this report, I don't know how we will. You're saying you will put them in the committee of the whole house, but they should have been captured. They should have been captured in the report. They should have been captured in the report. But you, with your wisdom, we believe that in the committee of the whole house, those things will be captured because it's a second reading.
Point
But,
of order.
if it is not here,
Chair,
either
point of order, Speaker, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mika.
I think, Honorable Speaker, you have already made a ruling that where we feel, especially the members who are in attendance, because what is coming out now from the contributions is that even the committee members who happen to be in the assembly right now, there is some disconnect somewhere, and I think you have already made a ruling, Honorable Chair, that we can amend. I don't know at what level we can amend, because I believe that if Honorable Kisila has something which the members feel it was left out, maybe we can highlight, we can pick what needs to be amended. We agree, and then you allow that session now to amend whatever we are doing. I don't know. We need guidance there, because if it's something which Honorable Kisila can do now, he can do. If Honorable Kingori can do, I don't know. Yeah.
True members, we can amend. We have that powers. You can.
yes, Mr. Speaker, maybe I can just propose that amendment that if the fund manager, the fund administrator, we agreed on the process of recruiting the fund administrator.
Honorable Sila, just
Yes.
a bit. Just. Okay, honorable members have been guided. It's like the committee, there's some discord a bit. So we can have more time. We can have more time. The committee sit down, gather all those information, and on Tuesday morning we finish the report and the second reading. Honorable Sila.
Mr. Speaker, I'm well guided, and I think that is a very good ruling, and I think that will give us more time, because even if we will have to start looking at the amendments, they are not fresh in our head, and we spend a lot of time on this document. We have spent a lot of time on this document, and we don't want anything to be left out. So I fully agree with you, with your ruling, and with all due respect to our chairman, we will sit down again with our clerk and look at this, whatever could have been left out, and when we come on Tuesday, we will have a very good document. Thank you very much, Mr.
Honorable Tiso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Peter Joseph Motiso, a member of Machakos Central Ward. What I can say is that, Mr. Speaker, you have done a good job, because there are some areas that have been left, and I think also other members will just bring the same on board, because there are other members who feel that there must be some things which are left, who are not members of this committee. Like myself, I have a problem, but I need to be guided. All the members will look into. I can give an example of the KRB money or on roads. Sometimes money is given, funds are there, but they are not utilized well. There is no equity. You can see a ward like Machakos Central, for 5 years, can be given projects on the same. But there are other wards which don't benefit from. Will it happen in this? Because we need to look into that. For a chair. So, Mr. Speaker, I think they have to look into that, because when we come into some things like this, some areas are left and we get in problems. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, because you have, if you have given us time, I think we will make a good bill. This bill is not for this assembly, it is bill which will be there forever. And even with time, people will be there asking, who was the speaker then? Was Mr. Kisila there? And other questions. So we don't need something that will be questionable in future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chair. You are just you are not moving, you are just responding to the members.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have noted those concerns, and I'm also happy for the direction you have taken. It is a wise decision to, and as a chairman, also to have all members comfortable with the views. I think we went through this report, and maybe if there are some elements which were left out, it can be a good thing. We all come together and we agree on them. I would also like to note the concerns of our whip, Honorable Mita, who has also brought some input. Maybe he talked of the oceans, there's also climate change facilitators, forests, and so forth. And I also want to congratulate Brian for maybe also catching the mind of Honorable not Katangi, Nicholas, for getting the mind of, catching the mind of Nicholas. So if there are areas which we need to improve, because we agreed on many things about that fund manager, about the diploma issue, we said that maybe to have somebody with a degree might be hard. It's only a dissenting voice, as Honorable Brian is saying, who maybe was not mentioned in the report, but members agreed. But I am not, I am only saying that let's all agree, let's all come together on those areas as you are directing, and then maybe we bring the final report. Otherwise, I think most of the things, the committee members agree they are as we said.
Honorable Gisini, that's okay. Honorable members, let committee learn from this. Before you bring a report in this house, can you sit down as a committee and you agree? And in fact, even you should make a list and members sign, so that we don't have that issue of committee disagreement in the house. At that juncture, members, the house stands adjourned to Tuesday, the 14th day of December 2021 at 10 a.m. Thank you, members.